Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're back, coming out of a little bit of a break. Of course, we got the ladies coming in the studio tonight with the Diva Diary, so we playing some lady-centric music tonight, so hopefully they'll appreciate it when they get here in the building. Of course, they're not here yet, but when they get here, hopefully they appreciate it. I want to say peace to S.Y. Butler hanging out with us, checking us out on the Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. fan page. Appreciate your support. Thanks for listening to us every single week. And now it's time for your main man Kdub to get into the National Basketball Association report. You want to get down with us, you got a question for your man Kdub, give us a call, 804-402-2893. Dub, first question I'm asking you, what's going on with them folks down on South Beach, man? They up to like 25 or something like that now?
And tonight they're going for 26. They're playing against Orlando right now. They're up 19 to 18 in the first quarter. They haven't lost in 50 days. I mean, let's just keep it funky. They haven't lost in 50 days. It's the second longest streak outside of the LA Lakers. They went on a 33-game winning streak. Right now, they are playing without Dwayne Wade for the second game in a row where he's nursing a little bit of a sore knee. I'm quite sure that if it was a playoff or a needed game, he probably would play. But, there's not really too much that you can say about Miami that hasn't been already said, man. You know, they're number one in the East. They're on that, like I stated, they're on that 26-game winning streak. They're playing against Orlando tonight, which I would say, that doesn't really enthuse you. It doesn't look like a big game. They're 55-14. They on the roll, man. They on the roll. 32-3 at home. They're on the roll. I do see them. Obviously, they are going to finish in that number one seed in the East. It'll be interesting to see if, in fact, they get to the point of winning that 33rd or 34th game. If the coach decides to rest his key players so that they're going into the playoffs fresh. But, hey, man, we already know what's going on. The MVP, LeBron James, is leading that team, and he's making greatness look easy.
Dub, I'm sorry, Grizz, what you got, man?
With Miami, man, just kind of piggybacking off of what Kdub said, Miami is on the roll. I would love for somebody to knock them off. Just caught the score. It's 19-18. They're up by a point, but it's early against Orlando. So who knows? I mean, if they do, they do. It almost would be something. It's not close to the 72 and whatever the Bulls did, but it's pretty impressive for them to run along this streak. Considering that the East, when I look at the East, it's got the top four teams there. So they're above caliber.
I look at
those right now.
I look at them, and there's been a lot of talk about the 72 Lakers, and of course now that Miami seems to be on a march towards not only that record but to win another title. We talked about it last week on what would be the bigger accomplishment, winning a chip or getting this win streak. I mean, obviously you would rather win the chip, but I think the winning streak, personally, to me, is more impressive. But it's the way they're doing it. It's almost like they're sitting back chilling, and then when it's time, all right, let's quit playing with these cats. Let's go ahead and go and get them. And the game that kind of sticks out to me the most with regards to that, Ruben, is the game they played last week against Cleveland. LeBron, of course, goes back to the city where he made his name, the National Basketball Association, and all of a sudden, I think they were down by like 27 points or something like that, and next thing you know, in the final minutes, they pull it out, and it was about business for these cats. Now, my personal opinion is if they get the record and they win the chip, you got to put them in the conversation of one of the best teams in NBA history. That's my personal opinion. What you got to that, Big Road?
Laker fan.
I think they're playing exceptionally well. The Cleveland comeback was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. As a pro team, you can't score 12 points in 9 minutes. You score 10 points in 9 minutes. Really? I mean, you're a pro team. I mean, all you had to do is go in the lane and get fouled. I mean, really? Come on, man. If I'm a Cleveland Cavalier, I'm a Cleveland Cavalier fan, I might try to leave because that's really embarrassing.
It is.
Furthermore, they're not getting that streak yet.
Hey, Grizz, what's your thoughts on what Ruben just said?
I mean, Yeah, I mean, but there are some bad teams out there. You know, just to put in perspective what Miami Heat is doing, the last place team in the East is the Bobcats, and they're 40 games out of first place.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dub, moving away from Miami, we got, of course, Ruben's team, the Los Angeles Lakers. What's going on with those guys?
Well, before we go to the Lakers, real quick, one last note on Miami, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there, and we'll see in a couple of weeks if this is true. I predict that it's going to be a one or the other with Miami. If they break the streak, I don't think that they're going to win the championship. If they wind up not breaking the streak, I could see them going on and continuing and winning the championship. So that's just my little preview. I'm gonna throw that out there. A couple of weeks from now, a couple of months from now, we'll go ahead and revisit that.
We're gonna look it up.
It is, yeah. It is what it is. I think that's fair. I mean, I guess I hadn't really thought about it that closely, but you know, it's going to be difficult for them to win 30. Was it 34? They have to win to break the record. It's going to be tough for them to do that. But you know, looking at their schedule, you know, they got some gimmies that, you know, they'll take them up to the high 20s, and then it gets challenging. Let's speaking of the team they have to match for that record, the Lakers. What's going on in La La Land?
Well, they got 12 games left. They're sitting in that eighth spot. They've lost 2 games in a row, man. I wouldn't say that they're sliding, but with them being 2 games up on Utah and 3 games behind Houston, you know, we all know that within a week that could flip flop easily. They lost, like I said, they lost 2 in a row. What they have and what's real interesting is that the remaining schedule that they have, they're 2-4 against under 500 teams, and they have 6 games against those particular type teams. So, you know, could it be a situation where your boy Kobe Bryant just takes things into his own hand and says, I'm going to will us to the playoffs? Could it come down to a situation where other teams know that the Lakers are grasping for straws right now, and they just try to give them the hammer? From what I understand, and I wasn't privy to listen to the interview, but from what I understand, Coach D'Antoni actually called the team out after their most recent loss. So I really don't know, man. It seems like it's just like Hollywood, man. It seems like it's a story where every week something can change. Something changes in the dynamic of the LA Lakers. I'm sure Ruben probably could tell me a little bit more as far as what may have transpired with their coach.
I mean, what transpired with their coach? That dude forgot he was a coach of the LA Lakers. Not saying that he didn't deserve to do it. He should have did what he did. And I really agree with him. However, you know, there's a time and place for everything. I'm not a fan of coaches who shine on their players in public. I'm just not a fan, especially NBA players. I'm not a fan of that for the simple fact of it's just like, you know, shining on a person who brings you your food. I mean, you need to pay attention to what's going on, you know.
He's a bad hire, though.
I mean, of course he's a bad hire. That's all day. That is all day. And, you know, maybe he's like, you know, I'm out anyway, so I don't care. Well, that's great. We can end you tomorrow.
You still think they're going to hold on to their staff? You still think they're going to hang on to their spot, though?
Utah can't win a game.
Okay.
I mean, they got destroyed the other night. Man, we're 2 games up. We got 12 games. Man, we win.
Dallas is there, too.
They got to get 500 first. Get 500, then talk to me.
Right now, we think they can go 500. It's already known that I hate the Lakers, but I love them. That's fine. So it is what it is.
I mean, you got to be at least, you know, real with it.
Every week we got to have a Vanessa Bryant reference in here. Kdub, of course, keeping it on the West Coast.
Talking about Lala.
Keeping it on the West Coast right now. Another team that's kind of doing the damn thing is the Denver Nuggets. Can you tell us what's going on with? They got a major injury on that team, and they also are on a great winning streak. What can you tell us about the Denver Nuggets?
Well, Denver right now, a lot of people wouldn't even know that Denver has the longest winning streak right now behind Miami. They're at 15 in a row, 49 and 22. And quiet as kept, they're in 3rd place ahead of the Clippers. Granted, it's only a half a game, but they're still in front of the Clippers. Nobody would have even expected Denver to be in this particular position, especially after a year and a half ago. Everybody's trying to figure out, you know, who won the Carmelo Anthony trade with them. Right now, if the playoffs were to start, it would be matched up against Golden State say, honestly, that might be the best first round. If not the best, that would be maybe the second best first round matchup in the whole NBA. They have 11 games left, and they also have a NBA leading 32-3 home record. So, you know, you have them in the third position. That means they're going to have home court advantage when the playoffs start. And everything is up for grabs. Now, the one thing about Denver I will say is that they play hella defense. They go to the rack hard. They play very hard. But their perimeter offense is a little questionable. And, you know, it will be interesting to see what type of adjustments. Again, if they were to play Golden State like it's set up right now, it will be interesting to see what kind of adjustments Mark Jackson would make in order to negate the type of game that Denver plays right now.
I'll be honest with you. If we saw Golden State and Denver play each other in the playoffs, I see a shootout for at least 6 games. What do you think? And I know it's a little bit early. It's a little bit early to guess on that, but I think that could be a shootout.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And what we don't realize is that somebody like a JaVale McGee, who last year outplayed Andrew Bynum when they were matched up against the Lakers. If JaVale McGee was to kind of hone his skills and get a little bit more dedicated on the box, man, for years to come, Denver will be that team. But looking at this year right here, man, I mean, you got the Manimal and Kenneth Faried. You have Ty Lawson. You have Iguodala, who's a lockdown defender. They have a lot of weapons. Gallinari. You even have old school Andre Miller, who looks like a young Richard Pryor out there. He's still out there giving those assists. So it's real interesting, man. Denver definitely is one of the surprising teams of this year.
Big Rope.
I mean, yeah, Denver's a beast. I mean, I saw him play the other night, and I was like, I'm glad the Lakers don't got to play these dudes this year in the first round. I mean, because, it's real, man. They will run us to death, and that's really, I think they run harder than the Clippers. You know, because they don't play a lot of defense, but they run and run and run and run. And, you know, that's the team that Carl really, really wants. He wants a team that plays a lot of offense, plays suspect defense, but just enough to get that W.
Yeah, well, Mike D'Antoni is somewhat like that as well.
Mike D'Antoni's a loser.
To a lesser degree with regards to the defense. Of course, we got to get a little bit of Nick chat in here, Dub. The first thing that I'll say is there's reports coming out of New York that when Tyson Chandler returns to the Knicks lineup from having the issue with his neck in the next couple of days, that Kenyon Martin could potentially be moved to the bench. Now, people who haven't been following the Knicks are wondering why is that a big deal. But people who have been following the Knicks are saying, no, you can't do that, because he's been, for the last, I'd say, week or two, has been one of the biggest sparks for the New York Knicks with the performances that he's had, particularly on this winning streak the Knicks are on. What's your thoughts on what Mike Woodson should do when he gets his starting center back in the lineup?
Well, to be honest with you, you can, again, you and I have these discussions in regards to, you know, the flexibility that Woody has. At this particular point in the season, to be honest with you, I would go ahead and move Kenyon Martin to the 4 and have Carmelo Anthony play his natural position of the 3. If, in fact, he was to come off the bench, I wouldn't necessarily be that upset with that, because you're looking at possibly a bench of Jason Kidd, J.R. Smith, and then Kenyon Martin coming off of the bench with Marcus Camby. That's, you know, to be honest with you, if you watch the last 4 games, that's basically what had that particular lineup, or those particular 4 individuals have been making the Knicks a formidable task for other teams. Kenyon Martin right now, you know, his numbers don't jump out at you. He's averaging 8 points, 6 rebounds a game, but if you watch the game, his impact and his footprint on the game is much more bigger than 8 points and 6 rebounds a game. He's playing hella defense. When he goes to the rack, he's one of the few players in the league that when he goes to the rack, he goes to the rack very, very, very hard. And he gets every dollar out of every foul that he commits.
Absolutely.
So, you know, the Knicks right now are on a 4-game winning streak. They've actually tied with Indiana for that. They're tied as far as that second spot. But right now, actually, I'm sorry, the Knicks are at the second position in front of Indiana. They are set up to play Boston tomorrow night, and once again within the next 10 days, I believe. And what's interesting with that is that, you know, KG is not going to be playing with Boston due to some injury. So you could look at the Knicks possibly ending this week on a 5 to 6 game winning streak compared to about a week ago when it was almost like the ship was sinking. When he was out on that West Coast trip. You had Carmelo Anthony coming back. He's averaging 27 and 6. He came back from a little bit of a knee issue, and it looks as though that the time that he sat out with his rest, that might have been the best thing for him. He looks very fresh. He looks spry. And the one thing, again, going back to the Knicks again, is that you see the ball movement back again. You see something that, you know, you and I, Marcus J, spoke about. You see a lot of players right now passing up open shots. And even though that may not be a great thing, that's a good thing because you're looking at individuals that have a shot and they're looking for their teammates to have a better shot. So compared to last week, I think things are looking up for New York. And right now, they're in a real good position.
Well, we could say that, but they got a brutal schedule coming up with some big games against the Celtics, which we know how they do. You got Memphis coming up. You got Miami coming up. You got Oklahoma City coming up. And obviously, I'm not a pessimist with regards to my team, but I'm also a realist. Obviously, they'll be in the playoffs, but based on the matchup in the playoffs, you know, they lose a few games. They could drop like a rock in the water. But if they maintain right around where they're at, they could potentially be lined up to play against the Chicago Bulls, who they have not beaten yet at all this season. So what's your thoughts on their potential opponents if they do make it to the playoffs in this particular position?
Well, in order for them to play Chicago, they would actually have to be in that third position. If everything holds true to form right now, they would play against Boston.
That ain't no better.
You mentioned Memphis. And you mentioned Boston. You know, Kevin Garnett is not going to be playing. You mentioned Memphis. Memphis will be coming in without Gasol. From what I understand, he has a torn abdominal. Okay. So that changes the complexity of how Memphis plays as well. And I think that the same way that a number of teams took advantage of the Knicks injuries, I think that for these last, I want to say, how many games do they have? They have 14 games left. Yep. I want to say that at this particular point, they may be able to take advantage of other teams not being healthy as well. And also keep in mind that, you know, as we start to wind down toward the end of the season, you know, not saying that we're banking on this, but, you know, Rasheed Wallace will become available. That last week of the season, that's when Amari Stoudemire will become available. And at that particular point, you'll pretty much have, for the first time, a full Knicks roster. And now you can basically do a lot of different things that a lot of teams would not really prepare for.
Let me stop you because we're running out of time a little bit. Let me just say this. I think any Knicks fan that's sitting around waiting on Rasheed Wallace and Amari Stoudemire, they out their damn mind. Because Rasheed Wallace, who was supposed to be day-to-day, and his day-to-day done turned into 3 months. Amari Stoudemire, who is, you and I argue about this, and we're not going to agree, but he is an injury-prone Knick. And I'm not looking forward to relying on him to get anything. I think we got a much better chance of relying on 40-year-old Kurt Thomas to come back from a broken foot than we will either of those other two guys. Big Rube, I'm going to let you get a point in on this one.
Dub, I guess I'll ask both of you. Worst case scenario, Atlanta, Chicago, or Boston? We do not want to see.
I don't want to see. If it was me, I would say Chicago, Boston, Atlanta, with, you know, Chicago being the team that you at least want to deal with. Boston, of course, being the second, and Atlanta being the last one. That's me. Dub?
Well, I don't want to play Atlanta because that means that they would drop down to the 4th position. I'm like this, man. When the playoffs, if we want to beat the best, we got to beat everybody. So I'm not scared of nobody. We can play.
Okay, Ric Flair.
We can play. If I had to choose out of any of those teams, let's go for Boston. Let's go ahead and knock them out the box and get them out of there.
That's
weird. You know, but again, like I said, man, in order for us to get to where a lot of Knicks fans want to be, we got to play whoever they put in front of us.
That's what it is.
And just real quick, I ain't gonna spend too much time on Marcus J. I'll say this in regards to what you were saying in regards to Amari Stoudemire and Rasheed Wallace. You are absolutely correct about that as far as waiting on them, but keep in mind the playoffs is a slower game. We can use those 12 fouls.
You can use the 12 fouls, but I mean, when you come back, particularly when you talk about Amari Stoudemire, they gave him 6 weeks to come back from the first debridement. It took him 8. We knew he had the blood clot, but it still took him 8. This time they're talking 6 weeks. Maybe it takes 7 or 8. I mean, let me hold on. Let me finish. What Amari Stoudemire are we gonna get? And the same with Rasheed Wallace. I mean, the dude was day to day. What possible reason could anybody believe that he is going to come back? They should have waived his ass and got somebody else in there.
Well, when they were day to day, that was before they made this, before they had known exactly the full extent of that particular foot injury. Again, I just look at it like this: if they are available to play, they will be an addition rather than a subtraction in regards to when the playoffs start. You do have a lot of options. If you have those particular individuals available, that gives you a lot of leeway to do other things. That's just how I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at, Amari Stoudemire coming back and being that Amari Stoudemire that he was right before that injury. I'm damn sure not looking at Rasheed Wallace to come back and be the Portland Trailblazers Rasheed Wallace. But 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, in the playoffs, it does make a difference.
All right, well, I'm going to take the last word on this one.
I told y'all Amari was whack last year. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to take the last word on this one. When you talking about 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, that's what we get from Marcus Camby right now. And, I mean, the same thing with injury bugs with that guy. So, it is what it is. We'll leave it there. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We got the ladies just jumped in the room with us. We about to go ahead and end the segment. We're going to talk about some What the Hell real quick. And then we got the Diva Diaries for the rest of the show. Marcus J. Ain't no half stepping. Hang in there with us. Keep it locked. We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Peace.